Hello everyone, in today's session we'll talk about how to prepare maps for the UPSC Prelims examination. And the maps for the Prelims examination is really important, and this is very evident from the previous year question trend analysis. As you can see here, as much as 12 questions came from maps in the year 2023, and in 2022 it was 11 questions, and you can see here consistently they have been asking questions from maps. Now, when we look at these questions, the 12 questions, so I'll show you the previous questions later in the session itself, but I haven't included the questions from art and culture or history which are related with map, right? I have included predominantly the geography related as well as environment related questions, right? Even in case of environment, every map related question I haven't included because it's purely related with environment. So mostly these questions, they are being asked related with the current affairs of the maps and related with the geographical part, and you're getting as much as 12 questions in 2023, and in 2022 it is 11 questions. This itself shows that you should not be skipping the maps, and various students find it difficult to prepare maps, and these previous question analysis shows that this is an area that you shouldn't skip. So through this video and through this course, we will help you prepare maps with ease, right? So you can see the number of questions from 2011 to 2023, consistently they have been asking questions related with maps. And in recent years, this is the trend you have to keep in mind. In recent years, the questions from maps has increased. This shows that you should be giving due importance or priority to study maps. And maps, when you're comparing it with other subjects, the total thing that you need to study is relatively less, right? So for the map preparation, where it becomes difficult is that if you're trying to by heart all these things, right, you will be unable to recollect it, and it becomes boring, it becomes like difficult. So this course, we will solve those issues. Okay, now moving further, we will see some of the important types of questions. So in this PDF file, we have segregated questions from starting from 2023 all the way up to 2011. And when we go through or when we analyze these previous questions, we understand that consistently they have been asking some specific type of questions. You can see here, it's a pair type of question, and this was asked in the year 2023. And the question is related with regions often mentioned in the news and the reason for being in news. Okay, so this is mostly related with IR and world affairs. So in order to tackle these questions, whenever you are reading news, keep an eye open for these kind of questions. So you can see here North Kiev, Ituri, Nagorno, Kherson, these kind of topics, they have frequently appeared in news and they have asked questions related with it. So in the year 2023 itself, we can see another question, the 9th question here. Area of conflict mentioned in news. They have given the areas Donbas, Kachin, Tigray, and country where it is located. So earlier the question was the reason for being in news, right? Now here they have asked the region is being given and which country it belongs to. Similarly, there are other questions like some nations will be in news for various reasons like famine or conflict or other international issues, and they will be asking questions from those areas. And you can see here in the reason they Chad, Guinea, Mali and Sudan caught the international attention for which one of the following reasons common to all of them, right? And the options has been given here. Now I'm not discussing the answers of these questions in this session. Rather, I'm trying to show you different types of questions that has been frequently repeated, right? Now, another repeating type of question is this, like they're asking bordering countries, right? So Ukraine, we all know that the reason why it is in news, and they have given 6 options here, and they have asked the nations that are sharing border with the Ukraine. And this is not the first time they are asking such question. Earlier also they have asked such a question related with Afghanistan. Now another one, like which one of the following countries has been suffering from decades of civil strife and food shortages and was in news in the recent past for its very severe famine. This is again not the first time they're asking such a question related with famine. So within the year 2023 itself, you have found various similar type of questions like related with map. Now, other questions included like, general questions like say which one of the following is part of Congo Basin is related with the river. They are asking you to identify it with the they are asking you to identify it with the nation. Similarly, here you can see this here Indian geography related questions like hills, mountains, rivers, lakes. They will be interlinking all these areas as well. Now, one such question I would like to show you, like in 2023, this question they are interlinking rivers with the lake. Jhelum River, Vola Lake, Krishna River, Koleru, meandering of the Gandak River formed Kanwar Lake. Usually we will be preparing or we will be studying these areas part of either geography or environment. Now, one thing you should understand that when preparing maps, we should interrelate facts and prepare. If you're simply preparing, say, maps alone, like say rivers alone, mountains alone, so if you're not interrelating it, I'm saying from the perspective of a student who is studying maps, right? So when we're teaching, like, these areas, you'll be able to find various classes out there. But when you're studying it, if you're not interlinking and studying it, it will be difficult for you to answer questions. So most often, this is one of the patterns you have seen in the previous question. They are interlinking various parts and asking questions, right? So here, ports, and they're well known for, like, then resources related questions. They're asking recently. They're asking India's related resources as well as world resources. Now, all these questions, predominantly all these questions, they have an relevance, which is that they are in news. Okay. Now, a few other questions I would like to show you here. A term relevant and often heard in news roughly corresponds to which of the following region? Another term which is related, which is seen in news. Now, look at this question. Which of the above have borders with Afghanistan? Earlier, we have seen a question, borders related with Ukraine, and this question is related with Afghanistan. Now, this question, the third one, is related with the tribes, right? A tribe or a refugee crisis, which is in news, and the region it is in, like, related with that particular place. Now, this question, you can see this is mostly related with the IR, Organization of Turkic States. Which of the following nations belonging to that? Now, here another country which is given here, important reason for being in news, right? The similar question we saw in 2023 as well. This particular question is actually 2022. Okay, so this particular question is year 2022. So now itself we have seen that repeating pattern of questions. See, region often mentioned in news, and regions are given here. Country is given here, right? Now here in this question, they are interrelating reservoirs with states. Similarly, rivers with states, or national parks with states, mountains with state, or here you can see here peaks and mountains. So pair type of question they have asked. Now look at this ninth question. Which one of the following lakes of East Africa has become dry and turned into a desert? So this is mostly related with environmental issues which are prominent and which are in news. So they are relating with that. Okay. Similarly, like Canon of South India was created by which of the following rivers? So here they are interrelating or interlinking a geographical feature with the river, right? Now this question, look at here, Senkaku Island. So here this particular question, they are asking related with the controversy. So mostly I've seen this pattern, like when we are preparing, let's say IR, if you keep an eye open for these kind of map related questions, then it will be easy for you to answer these questions. Now if you have studied these areas, none of these questions are difficult to answer. They're not very confusing, right? Unlike, say, a subject like, say, in economy, or like a conceptual part of geography, or like a conceptual part of, say, polity. So there will be questions that are difficult to answer, that will be requiring extreme level of conceptual clarity, and few questions you will not be able to, like, find answers within the examination hall as well. But when it comes to the map related questions, what I've found is that relatively, if you have studied the area, relatively all questions are answerable, right? You will not be needing to, like, skip questions. But what happens is that most often many students, like, they completely skip studying maps. So all questions from math, they find it very difficult. But if you prepare a base area, base part of if you cover the entire regions, world map as well as India's map, you will be easily able to answer these questions, especially considering the recent priority they have given for these questions. You should not be skipping maps at all, right? Now, various, like, other similar questions or repeating questions you will be getting would be related with rivers, the tributaries, their states or the important cities through which they pass, or these are questions directly you will be able to answer from NCERT itself, right? Now here, this type of question you can see with reference to India, there are terms being given here. You have to identify what this is related with, right? Similarly, here look at this river and flows into. So river and there where it is draining into. Early in 2023, we have seen a question, the Congo Basin, which country it relates to, right? So all these questions, if you study those areas, you will easily be able to answer this. And here, Siachen Glacier is situated to the. This was asked when that Galwan Valley issue was there, when that conflict with China, when it started. This was a current affair question from that similar area. Similarly, national park related questions. Now look at here. Sea and bordering country. This is another favorite areas of UPSC, especially related with West Asia. Multiple questions they have asked, especially related with the Mediterranean Sea. Sometimes they have asked questions like which nations are not open to the Mediterranean Sea. Another year they have asked which countries are open to Mediterranean Sea. Now here, the similar area from the same region, different marginal seas has been given here, and bordering countries has been given. Now this is not the first time they are asking such a question. So when we look at this, it seems like it's difficult because we have to find the bordering country and the sea. But this area is not the first time they're asking question. So this is another trend I want you to follow. Like suppose if they have asked questions from any one particular area, that area we need to study in detail and expect a future question from that topic. So every future question coming from that particular area, the toughness will increase. But for a person who have analyzed PYQ and studied that area, they will be able to answer questions. So this West Asia related, West Asia, that region is one such topic. Like they have repeatedly asked questions. It's a priority topic for UPSC. Now here, as I told you earlier, they are interlinking rivers with glacier, rivers with famous places. So rivers from Indian geography, rivers is an important topic that you should be preparing. Similarly, the national park, those areas also they will be interrelating with the mountains and rivers. Okay, now here they have mentioned given the states with reference to state mentioned above in terms of percentage of forest cover. You have to arrange these states in the terms of forest cover. This was asked in 2019. Now another question, Barren Island. Now here you can see which one of the following have shrunk immensely, dried up in the recent past due to human activities. Does it ring a bell? Earlier also we saw a question where they have asked lake, right, which has dried up. Now this is similar question in the recent past due to human activity which rivers dried up, right? Similarly, look at here, very recently in which one of the following countries have lack of people either suffered from severe famine or acute malnutrition. In 2023 also we found similar question. So a person who saw this question 2018 and prepared accordingly when preparing current affairs, they're keeping an eye open. As I told you earlier, they're prepared, they're expecting such question, they'll easily be able to answer those 2023 questions as well. Now here, town sometimes mentioned in news and the countries related with it. Okay, so this file will be available to you. You can download it from our application. So we have seen various important type of questions, and there is clearly a repeating pattern here that you will understand when you analyze the PYQ. So you should be preparing based on this analysis of the PYQ, right? And those areas, those base areas, if you prepare properly, I would say this is a low-hanging fruit and you will be easily able to answer all the future questions that UPSC is going to ask for the prelims examination. So we have seen the important type of questions, right? And we will now take a look at what are the areas that you need to focus. So areas that we need to focus. So I have arranged a list of topics that you should be giving priority when you are studying the maps, right? First, countries. You should be preparing countries, and every country you don't need to prepare. You need to give priority to those countries which are in news and those cities or places which are in news for various reasons, like say conflicts or controversies, or recently the war is going on. These kind of, or like India is having particular interest in certain places, Prime Minister is visiting various places, those kind of places which are in news, or say important agreements are happening there, or important agreements are signed, or conventions are happening there, those kind of places you need to prepare, right? Similarly, rivers, both world rivers as well as India's rivers, very important, lakes, and the geographical features like deserts, mountains and peaks, plateaus, major landforms. Now, when we study these, like, the world map, we will be able to find, like, various landforms and features are there, geographical features are there. For example, we will be studying this as part of geography, going through the NCERT, it's a class 11 NCERT, when you're studying the physical geography, you will be coming across these terms. But you need to prepare it separately, and I mean, when I say prepare it, you need to study it properly. Now, simply you are reading these places, and if you're not arranging a system so that you can recollect these details, then it becomes difficult. Then when you try to answer the questions, these places, it will find it difficult. But if you organize this data and you interlink these areas, you will be easily able to remember these topics, right? Similarly, islands, not just major landforms, islands that are in controversy, that are claimed by different nations, or islands that are in news, or islands that are important to India, strategically that are important to India, especially the islands in the Indian Oceans and other areas which are strategically important to India. Those also you should be preparing. Then marginal seas. So every region you take, the marginal seas, the bordering countries that we have seen earlier, Gulf and bays, ports, right? Major ports and straits which are important for trade route, especially the transportation of petroleum. And recently we have seen in news that when a conflict happens, these trade routes get affected. It indirectly and indirectly affects India as well. For that reason, it becomes important, right? So the straits means those narrow channel of water body that connects places. Earlier there was a question related with Suez Canal, which they asked that question because Suez Canal got blocked because of a ship blocking the pathway, blocking the passage. Similarly, the major resources, right? Every resource and everything you don't need to by heart. The major resources that has the international attention and that are related with India, that are important to India, that you should be preparing. Then oceans and related features, disputed places, and places in news. Those last two categories, they're really, really important, because in 2023 and 2022, majority of the questions they have asked, they have selected the areas from the static portions related with the map, but the reason why they have asked those areas or those questions is predominantly because of the world affairs and IR related issues. So any dispute which are in news, which is coming in news, make sure you study those places, right? So these are the areas that you should be giving priority, and these are the areas that you need to focus when you're preparing the topics, right? Preparing the topics from related with the map. Now I'll share with the preparation strategy. Now first thing is that I found various people or various students, they try to learn the maps by heart, and when they try to recollect it, they find it difficult. Okay, so the single most important solution for this, and this course also, let's locate, this course also is designed based on this idea, which is make stories. Okay, now this is one thing I want to tell you. An important way in which you need to remember these areas is that to develop curiosity. If you're curious regarding if you're why that is in that manner, if you find something in news and why so, and if you're curious, you will find reasons behind it why it is in news. You'll search the news and you will read it. If you make stories out of it, you will remember it. If you're simply trying to by heart it, then you will forget it. This I'm telling you from my personal experience. Initially in 2015, when I started my teaching career, map was the difficult area for me because I already had that apprehension in my mind. I was a logical person. I could not find or could not by heart the facts. During my school days itself, it was difficult for me to by heart the facts. Now simply it was a mindset problem, and I overcame that problem through these stories method, right? So for example, if you're preparing, say, an area, Africa, you're preparing, and if you're preparing particular country, right? So in that country, when you're preparing, you go to the Google or Google News, search and what's happening there. Just read. Okay. Now another a good way in which you can make stories is that suppose certain people, they read novels and they read a lot, right? So if you relate those places with what we need to study for UPSC, right, you'll automatically get the stories. So different strategy will work for different people, but make sure you're not by-hearting it, rather you're interlinking things, and make sure out of curiosity you're making stories. Now, these make stories, I don't mean to say that you create those quotes, right? I've seen this tricks and tips videos, various videos are available in YouTube, say the bordering countries for certain nations and things like that. So that works for some certain people, but what happens is that code itself you will forget, and or it requires a lot of revision, right? So instead of making those codes and mnemonics and that abbreviations and things like that, what you need to do is that be genuinely curious about that region and read about it. And if you make stories, you will not forget it. Okay. So if you're unable to find or learn the maps by heart, this is the single most important suggestion that I'm giving you. Make stories and interrelate these areas. And when you try to solve questions after doing this process, you'll easily be able to answer those questions by recollecting what you have studied earlier. So try changing this method. Instead of by hearting, make stories, right? Now, how you need to prepare is that take continent wise, right? Suppose if you're taking Africa, study the physical features and study the political features. By political features, what I mean is that the countries, the bordering seas of that continent, the major cities of these countries, right? Also try to relate it with the reasons why it is in news, places in news or controversies, those kind of political issues you focus on. Also study the physical features. The physical features, what I mean is that, say rivers, okay, important rivers, where it is starting from, where it is flowing into, any controversies related with that. Similarly, deserts, grasslands, lakes, right? These kind of physical features you try to study, and various continents, there will be specific names that will be given to the geographical feature there. Okay, so study those geographical terms and those features, and look at the Google map and study, look at the images of that, and you will easily be able to relate and study. So one of the primary approach that we'll be using in Let's Locate is that we have divided the entire world map, and we'll be learning it in bit by bit. We'll take one continent, we'll study the physical features, and we'll study the political features of that region. Okay. Now, relate with IR and world affairs. I've already told you that. I'm showing you some examples also. Predominantly, this is a strategy with which they are asking questions, right? Now, another thing I got to tell you is that don't Google, rather take Atlas. Okay. Now, what I mean by this is then, suppose if you are having a doubt regarding a place, say you're reading a news article, you came across a particular place and you don't know where that place is. What is our first instinct? Nowadays, everybody will take Google, will search where that place is, right? I've also done it, been there, done that, right? So what happens is that when we do this, the information is readily available to us, right? Similarly, this information will be lost very fast. Okay, because we are not doing much to get that information. We're just simply Googling it. Our curiosity is over. We got the answer. Later, we'll forget it. Instead of that, you try doing this one method. Okay, this particular method is applicable for those people who got time to attend their prelims examination. I won't suggest this for the people who got, say, 3 months or less for the upcoming prelims examination. I won't recommend this. But if you are a student who is preparing for, say, 2025 or 2026, this method will easily work for you. When you read newspaper, right, daily, you find some 5 places, right, that you don't know. Okay, and don't find it using Google. Rather, take Atlas and identify that place. Now, while doing this, while we are searching in Atlas, we are very active. right? Suppose if you're searching for a particular nation in or particular state or particular geographical feature, when you're going through the atlas, definitely you will be reading or you will be going through the surrounding areas as well. Now, this exercise will help you to identify those areas as well, because our mind, when we are actively searching something, we are very open to it, very, very attentive. But when we are passively doing it, we tend to forget it very easily. Okay, so do take atlas and identify these places, and it will do magic for you. And if you think map is difficult for you, and as I told you, if you go time with you, do this exercise daily. Just identify 5 places which are in news. Identify those places from atlas, and you will easily start loving maps. Now another question related with atlas is that this is one of the frequently and this is one of the questions that I get: which atlas to use? There is Oriental Black and there is Oxford. In Oxford itself there are 2 types, student atlas and school atlas. What I suggest is that follow Oxford school atlas. Through this course, Let's Locate, we will be following the latest edition of Oxford school atlas. So make sure you follow the that atlas itself, right? So that it will be easy for you. If you already got an Oriental Black atlas with you, stick with it, there is no issue. But if you're planning to buy one, I'll suggest you to buy the Oxford school atlas, right? Now, as I told you earlier, this is another important strategy, stay curious, right? Now, when you're preparing, make use of technology. Go to Google Earth and identify those places in Google Map. See the images of it, and in Google, when you search, there is a tab called as news, right? So go to suppose if you're studying an area, studying a particular country, go to the news section and see what are the news that has come in, that has come related with that place, and read the subheadings of those newses. So what happens is that you will come across what's happening in that place, and because of that, you will remember that. Okay, when you're trying to recollect, you'll remember, okay, I read this. Okay, this was happening there. I read this. In that manner, you will be able to interrelate and remember those areas. Okay, so this is one huge suggestion I got to tell you. This is one of the important part of the map preparation strategy. Stay curious. Okay. Now, this is another thing that you need to create a notebook or maintain a notebook for map. This is again a strategy that is applicable for students who prepare, who got time to prepare, right? As I told you earlier, when you identify 5 places from map, write it down. You need to write it down why that place is in news, the country that it belongs to, any specific remark related with that place. Okay, it's a simple exercise. You will not believe yourself after say 1 month or 2 months, you'll start loving it. More than that, you will remember these things. Okay, now through this course, as we have told you earlier, Let's Locate, we'll cover the entire world map and India's map. So when you're seeing the class also, make sure you're maintaining the maps notebook. Okay, so write down the important places, or suppose if you're reading a monthly magazine, and identify the places in news and make your own notes out of it. You don't need a huge descriptive notes. Please go through that previous question so that you will understand to what extent you need to prepare areas. So mostly the questions related with map, they are from surface level areas, right? So you don't have to go in depth into the topics. Rather, you need to be aware about what's happening around you, and you need to stay curious about what's happening related with this maps topic, right? So maintaining maps notebook, definitely you'll get few questions directly from that topic, right? So this course, Let's Locate. So primarily what this course is that how we have designed this course is that we'll provide or we'll cover the entire areas through the video lectures, and we'll be dividing. There are different lectures. Each lecture for Africa, South America, North America and Central America together will be one session. Then one for Europe, another session. The Asia is the most important area. So I've divided Asia into different parts like West Asia, Central Asia, East Asia, Southeast Asia. And then we'll talk about Australia, Antarctica and ocean and major islands. And then we'll also be talking about India and it will be done through part 1 and part 2 videos. In case if it becomes lengthy, we'll be having a part 3 video for the India as well. We'll be holistically covering the maps from the perspective of geography, as well as we'll try to interrelate with the main aspects of the environment as well, right? So predominantly in this course, you will be getting the video lectures of these many topics, and it will be available for you. And we'll cover each area. Suppose if you're studying South American, first we'll discuss about the political features, the major nation, their city, their what is going on there. Then we'll talk about the physical features there, right? That the major areas that we need to focus, I've shown you earlier, those areas will be taught from based on these areas, right? Suppose if you're studying South America, I'll show you the physical features of that area so that you'll remember it, and we'll be able to interrelate and remember. One example I'll tell you. We all know that we need to study mountains and rivers, right? But in which direction will a river flow? Always down the slope. So river is always related with mountain. So when you're studying mountain, study the major rivers that originate from there. Or suppose if you're studying a particular continent, study the physical feature in the sense you must have already seen this physical map, right? That different color will be given. And we all see that map as a 2D map, right? In fact, that map should be visualized as a 3D map. So whichever place is having more elevation, the river will be flowing down that slope, down from that elevation. So in that way, you are rating this mountain with the rivers. Okay. So this studying physical and political features together is really important. So this is another strategy we'll be using in this course. And as I told you earlier, the atlas we'll be following would be Oxford School Atlas, right? So this is, I hope you understood basic idea regarding how to prepare the maps. And one thing I want to tell you, underline, this is the most important thing I want to tell you, is that this is doable, right? Don't skip maps thinking that this is difficult. Please download that previous question PDF and go through that PDF, right? You will not be able to find answers, yes, because you haven't studied it. Think about how much time you have invested in studying maps when compared with a subject like, say, polity, history, or economy, right? Or even geography. When compared with that, most students are not investing much time for the maths. Right? If you're not investing time, you can't expect to answer those questions, right? So this is where the change in mindset is required. I'm saying this from my personal experience. The change in mindset is highly needed, right? So you have to believe that this is doable, and we'll do it in an organized manner as we have discussed here, right? So without you yourself realizing this, you will easily learn these areas, and all the future questions from this topic you will be able to answer with ease. Now I hope you have liked today's session, and in the next video we'll be covering the first topic. We'll start with Africa, and as I told you, we'll study the physical and political features. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching.